Welcome back to the PricePlow Podcast. This is the week of supply side. We're out getting a few things done before the show starts. I wanted to hit
say it. Back in Vegas. Back in Vegas, another year, another supply side. Thanks for having me.
It's like once a year. It's cool.
Yeah, it's like annual tradition.
We get to pick up on a few things that we did last time or see where things have gone.
Although a year in ghost years is like 10. So I actually don't even remember what we talked about last time at all. So, we say a lot. It's on the wall. Authenticity is undefeated. You know that you're going to get an authentic podcast because I don't even know what day it is right now. So it's like, and ask me anything to the max, and let's talk ghosts in the world and supply side and everything going on.
Yeah, we I think last time we podcasted was in Chicago.
Yeah. Was that the
TMNT?
Was that the Turtles Day?
That was Turtle.
Yeah, that was Mike's Turtle
Power.
Yeah, I'm scarred for life. Love you, Mike.
Or me clapping the things and not knowing what to say.
Yeah.
You
guys don't watch the channels, all right? Cool.
We watched like the first I gotta say
900 episodes.
Seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I mean, it's becoming a little bit harder to keep going after all these years because the scale of the meetings gets bigger, the scale of the travel gets bigger, the team gets bigger. And look, we've always been really proud to show as much as we can without maybe, I don't know, there's got to be an appropriateness line somewhere, but also as much as we can without maybe kind of giving our competitors kind of a leg up, I guess, is part of it too. So it's a fine line, balancing the act, and it's got a little more challenge as we grow, but it's really important for us to keep going.
For me, and this is natural with any business that's growing, but when you guys started, I knew you too, and so watching you guys in your WeWork, I could see you too doing your jobs, and as stuff has grown, there's more people on the channel that I just don't know.
Yeah,
it's harder for me to be as excited about that as I was when I was watching YouTube. I went back to grab that clip of you impersonating Jim Stepani a couple of weeks ago, and
I was talking about.
And dude, I was going through all these pictures of you guys in Chicago and stuff. And it was a different time.
Yeah, I mean, the whole growth of the team as well, that's really important. And we don't want it to just be me and Ryan all over the channel. Just if you look very closely over the years, even though we work with some pretty, even big name influencers, some of which are lifelong friends of mine and Ryan's, we don't feature them heavily in all of our content. Why? Because we want people to see themselves drinking Ghost or part of the Ghost fam, part of the lifestyle. And that's really important. And I think today's influencer-led, especially CPG world, everything you're seeing out there, some of these brands coming out, I would argue probably 90 to 95% of the people buying that product are buying it because of that influencer. That's probably not sustainable. It's probably not really scalable. And I've said for years, whether it's Max Sheen with Sour Strips or Christian Guzman with Alphalete, the best sale that you're going to make is someone who's buying that t-shirt who has no idea who the hell you are, right? Because they're buying it because the brand, they're buying it because the product, they're buying it because of the quality. So seeing me and Ryan a little bit less and seeing more of just the team as it continues to grow, that's actually a little bit by design because, it's not, the brand's called Ghost, it's not called Dan, it's not called Ryan. And, we said from day one, we're all Ghosts, and you're really seeing us start to embrace it as we've grown.
I've stopped sending you these pictures. I think it as any friend who has a business, you want to kind of show them anytime you see their brand and stuff. But
I was still humbling.
Yeah, I know.
Never gets used. Never gets old.
My dad goes nuts when he goes to Wegmans and there's huge displays. I told you, but I was in Frisco, Texas, getting gas at a gas station. There was a dude that was posted up on the wall of the 7-Eleven wall, drinking a Ghost Energy. And
I like that.
I looked at him and was like,
my guy.
Yeah, if the brand was still all about lifting and it hadn't transitioned to be we're all Ghosts or kind of gotten into that phase where anyone can use it, that guy wouldn't have bought something that was so heavily into just fitness.
Yeah. I mean, we've always wanted to try to avoid pigeonholing ourselves, I guess would be the way to say it. And we're big sneaker guys. We've talked a lot over the years about kind of a little bit of maybe the inspiration that Nike's kind of lent us sometimes. And if you're not a basketball player, it's not really appropriate for you to shop Nike basketball stuff. But you can still shop Nike if you're a runner because they have running and so on and so forth, all these different categories, football, training, yoga, skateboarding, lifestyle, whatever. Why can't we kind of do the same thing in our world? where it's not just powders, and even within powders, it's not just sports nutrition, not just protein, not just hydration or greens or whatever. And there's plenty of brands out there that only specialize in one of those things, and look, they've done really well. In some cases, they're still bigger than Ghost at large in that one category. But for us, what our personal goal was not just that. It's like, okay, it's not just powder, it's not just beverage, and even within beverage, right? Right now, it's really been energy drinks with, like, we've trotted out some protein drinks in infancy. We can talk about that today and where that's at, where that's going. But look, we're excited to do more there. Is there going to be foods in the future? We've kind of talked about that, hinted at it. Been working diligently for years on it. Merchant apparel is a big deal. Little denim jacket. I don't know, Ryan said I look good.
I wanted to ask you guys last night, like, how much of your wardrobe is your own clothes? Like, he had his flannel on last night. It looked so comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, Ryan and I don't really go clothes shopping, and our entire wardrobe. If people say we dress the same, it's not. I mean, we have similar tastes, but at the same time, like, we get clothes from Alpha Elite and Everforward sent to us, or Naka, and then all the Ghost stuff, and I think where we kind of what we do shop for is sneakers,
Yeah. Shift the budget for that, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, in the early days of being starving entrepreneurs, right? I mean, literally, like, Alpha Elite was the only, our friends hooking us up, or stuff Ghost is making us all we had, and frankly, all we could afford. So
that was how I knew I made it, was when I got on the Adaka spam list.
Oh, yeah.
Protein RTDs. I think you could. I normally wouldn't have brought this thing up, but you kind of mentioned that there was some things and there's something that's going on.
Look, aseptic manufacturing, this type of manufacturing for that kind of product in the U.S. is really tight right now, and also in a bottle, right? You can go the Tetra Pak route. I personally am not really a Tetra Pak fan.
The box thing.
Yeah, and my understanding of it isn't just like the experience, but it's supposed to be more recyclable. But my understanding, and I stand to be corrected if I'm wrong about this, but my understanding is that there's only a few facilities in the country that can actually recycle it. So even if the package can be more like recyclable or has the ability, it's not ending up there. It's ending up in the landfill. It's actually worse than a plastic bottle. So the experience, and also the whole kind of recycling thing, which I'm not sure about Tetra, like, no, we want to be in a bottle. There's not a lot of line time. And look, we had a partner that had agreed to produce X amount of bottles for us, and it wasn't a lot. And we were actually having trouble getting even that amount. And, based on how fast energy's grown, right? You've got these big partners in like 7-Eleven and Kroger, right? Saying, hey, Dan, like, we see these protein RTDs, we want them. Like, guys, I'm sorry, I don't have any for you. Like, I can't make enough. Like, but GNC and Shop and whatever. I'm like, yeah, but they don't need the same volume that you do. So I'm just supplying what I can. I'm just trying to build the brand, build the product here. And it's kind of getting me in hot water. So just for all of that reason, we were like, hey, like, we got to put a pin in this. Like, we're going to come back with, hopefully a partner that can meet our demand needs. Make sure they meet us where we need to be met on quality as well. There's some clumping issues in the early days, right? Look, we want to make sure that we have a very high standard. And if it comes back, we're going to make sure that the 2.0, like everything we do, grow and get better, 2.0 is going to crush where we were for 1, even though I thought 1 was pretty damn good too.
I killed that case. I didn't know there was another one out there to be had. It was kind of almost disappointing. But are those lines being taken up by like your premier proteins and like your?
No, they're being taken up by everything. Yeah, it's being taken up by like the almond milks of the world, right? Or the creamers, or the coffee RTDs, or the flavored milks. I mean, it's all the same generally type of stuff. Shelf stable aseptic, manufacturing. So there's just not a lot, and those lines are incredibly expensive to build. I mean, $40-50 million is what I've been told to build one. So that's not exactly an option either. Wow.
So, do you have that like on your like? Is that like a goal for you guys, or do you like kind of know when that's gonna happen?
Yeah, it's a goal.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a massive goal. It was one of the company's goals this year. We didn't succeed there, but we're gonna do everything we can.
It's kind of heartbreaking, but energy's doing so well on its own.
Yeah.
Too is like, I feel like that's probably a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, energy, like, never in a million years, right? And I think we told the story here before, but Ryan and I historically were not energy drink guys. Why would we be? It was sugar and caffeine for the most part, right? And there wasn't really an added function, a real delivered added function, I think, or efficacy at any of these things. And we get caffeine from tons of other sources during the day. So I was like, well, why would I drink one? And in 2018, 2019, we started looking at what people were buying with Ghost. It wasn't Ghost. And over is energy drink. So we said, hey, like, can we make a good one? Can we say, okay, we're going to use the Ghost design and the Ghost flavors, but hey, our flavor partners, the authentic flavor collabs, are they down to do this with us? When they said yes, like, oh, that's really interesting. Can we bring over some efficacy that we think people will appreciate? And can we be fully transparent about what's in the can to deliver that promise of energy drink plus that I think that trend had started? And we kind of figured out some cool ideas there. Like we got really excited by it. And then of course, like, you know, Anheuser-Busch, the story there where head of sales hits us up, hey, I'm a fan, I buy your product. Like, if you ever thought about beverage, you said yes. Hey, maybe we can help each other. Boom, sign a big distribution deal with them. And trying to innovate every facet of an energy drink, even down to how we, you know, deliver the product, right, and distribute the product. And yeah, it's just taken off. Never in a million years, I think. Like right now in the U.S., it's somewhere around 750 or so cans of Ghost Energy are being sold a minute.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's
can.
Yeah.
I mean, look, dude, it's the most humbling, crazy thing. And like from my perspective, it's the coolest thing because, you know, this past weekend, of course, when we're young, right?
Yeah.
Emo, pop punk, you know, festival tugging in my heartstrings. It's in my blood, right, for life. And we were inspired by all those things from the very outset of Ghost. Maybe it came through in the content, right? We're using some of the music, going to shows and on the channel, maybe in some of the design that would come through, right? But like, you know, how does a pre-workout company-led company or protein-led company like organically or authentically interact at When We're Young festival, even if the people there are protein users themselves, which, you know, a lot of them might be? Doesn't really make sense. So the coolest part about Ghost Energy is nothing to do with the size or the scale. It's that it's given us the authentic permission to like get out there and partner in all these really cool places that, look, it's beyond a dream come true. I posted on my Twitter, I know it's kind of cheesy, but like I never had the balls big, like, you know, to dream as big as where some of this has gone. So it's been the most humbling, like coolest thing, I think, for me and for Ryan. And I know this weekend in the emo nostalgia of When We're Young, it definitely has me in my feels about all that. But like it's been really cool. So
It's kind of a cool genre because a lot of it has to do with like getting out of that small town and doing the big stuff. So earlier this year, you guys announced your like 8.5 ounce cans for consumption on premise.
Yeah.
Are you guys getting like into bar scenes? Because like at that event, we were at 16 ounces.
Yep.
Which makes sense for carrying it around.
If you notice at the not to flex the booze for a sec, but like in the cabanas or the tables that they had, maybe not on the second day when you were there, but generally for the buckets of ice are all the 8.4 ounces as mixed.
I always saw 16.
And a lot of times the bar backs are using 8.4s because it's more efficient for them to kind of do the pours when they're mixing a drink. So yeah, the goals of the 8.4 are on premise, like in hospitality. So it's getting into restaurants, getting into bars. For the festivals, it's been huge as well. You know, we signed a big deal with Live Nation and also with Insomniac this year. So nationwide partner, all the Insomniac festivals, like 8 million plus people a year go to those things. You know, obviously EDC Vegas being the crown jewel and the biggest one. So that's really kind of where those are going.
Like my question is like I'm a Jersey guy. At what point can I go to the Jersey Shore and order? I can order a Red Bull vodka.
Yep.
When can I order a Ghost Energy vodka?
So look, brick by brick mindset a little bit, but it's also the, you know, kind of busting your way in mindset a little bit. Red Bull, one of the coolest, most aspirational, influential brands in the history of planet Earth. They've also done a really good job at locking down the real estate, and a lot of time, some of these bars may, you know, be contractually committed to exclusively serve Red Bull as an energy drink. I think it's hard to break through.
Sure.
So I think like what we can do is make the most of the opportunities that we do get, do a great job, execute, drive as much like hands in hands, as much trial and good times, good vibes, and like kind of social like kind of share of that as possible. And ultimately that will kind of impact and get in front of the people making the decisions down at the Jersey Shore or wherever. So happy to say that we've gotten into some really big kind of hospitality groups in several big cities for next year. They are all going to debut kind of Jan Feb. And that's another big reason why you might have seen on the channel or I don't know if we leaked it somewhere else recently too, but we've been working on an OG flavor as well. So Ghost putting a modernized spin on traditional energy drink. Not trying to rip anyone off, not trying to knock anyone off. It's more like saying, okay, you know, obviously there's a demand for your classic RBV or there's that energy drink and vodka kind of flavor profile. How can we modernize? How can we elevate it? So I think you're going to find the flavor a little bit crisper, a little more refreshing, slightly more sweet, but not syrupy, no caramel color, no color in any Ghost Energy, of course. And then, you know, our formula, but it's just a half formula, right? So 100 mg natural caffeine and so on and so forth. So really pumped to kind of continue to get those things out there. And like, look, like, like everything we've done, man, authenticity, like it's just inspired by what we're doing and
Sure.
and what we've all been doing since the history of time. If anything, like Matt Stafford, one of the DJs, this is like my brother, but one of the DJs we work with, he's like, man, Ghost Energy saved my life. Because he used to have like a tub of Legend in the DJ booth with him, and he'd be doing like a scoop of Legend. And I'm like, bro, you really shouldn't be doing that. Please do not try this at home. Disclaimer, don't sue us. But he's like, Ghost Energy a little more,
Yeah,
a little more
little
maybe
safer.
appropriate for that purpose.
What I like, I think the activation at the concert for the festival was one of the coolest parts, and it was showing some. I got some pictures, video. I'm going to talk about it, but I think I was way more compelled about like the Ghost Energy brand than I ever was like through some like Monster Red Bull Girl type event thing. Like the Mini Cooper with the can. It's cute and everything,
Yeah.
but like I don't think a lot of people relate to that in any way. It's cool, it's interesting, but like a lot of people were walking around that booth like, I remember this stuff. This is part of my childhood.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's part of ours. Like the whole thing. I don't think I'm special. Me and Ryan joke all the time that we're not special, and a lot of Ghost has been built on just the stupid stuff that us and our friends were doing way back when. And we're just like, we can't. I mean, maybe we were a little weird in some ways, but like, there's got to be other people do this too.
Yeah.
Like, there's not other people mixing up and throwing on some like pop punk or emo tunes to go hit the gym, dropping in and playing a couple rounds of Tony Hawk or FIFA or Madden, like while you're kind of waiting for the pre to kick in, while you're booting up a little bit. We do that too. We
still do that.
with Call of Duty, right? Start the process, we call it. And like instead of coming up with some marketing formula or strategy, and everyone who congratulates us on our marketing, like I'm always appreciative and humble, but like there really is no marketing. It's like this is like what we do. This is how we live. We're just sharing it, and instead of creating a brand built on like a false pretense of look at this bodybuilder and you got to eat this way, sleep this way, train. We're just like telling the truth. Here's what we're doing. Come and do it with us, guys. Girls. Just come and hang.
Yeah.
Right. And I think hopefully that comes through at that booth. And one like distinction, so cool to see a bunch of like Ghost hats and shirts and stuff in the wild too. Those were for sale at the festival, so people just rocked them, right? Which is pretty cool. And if Ghost can kind of get in that emo scene, it's gonna be a really special thing for me personally. But like, look, some of these other energy drink brands, I don't know if you know this, but the only way you can get their merch or apparel is if you're an actual athlete.
Okay.
And so it's a very elite thing and an aspirational thing, and that's cool. That's the opposite of what we want to do.
Sure.
We want to create a community. Like when I see someone rocking that Ghost hat out there, I want to go like give them a high five. And get in the pit with them.
I mean, that happened for us.
Yeah.
What was it? A Saves the Day.
Yeah.
That was cool. It was a cool moment.
Yeah. So cool.
Okay. So 2024 is coming up. I know you wanted to hit a couple things. I'm going to make sure we keep moving on the podcast. What are we talking about that's coming out soon with you guys?
Yeah.
Really loud speaker.
Yeah, like 2024. I mean, huge year. We're going to turn 8 unbelievably. And like, look, I think this year, the big thing that Ghost did is maybe not really the sexiest of years for us, right? We scaled the shit out of energy. I mean, it's now in 70% of grocery and convenience stores. A lot of work had to go on behind the scenes from manufacturing, from qualifying new manufacturers, from making sure supply chain was, our testing, all that stuff is up to par, making sure our people, our infrastructure, like, from an innovation perspective, that's maybe a little bit of a slower year in some cases. And look, we still had some bangers this year too, between Sour Strips, the Cinnabon, like Legend V3, which especially globally has really taken off for us because now we can finally get product all over the world that's compliant. It's a little more like economical, I think, for a lot of people, 5 extra servings and stuff. And I think that's done really well for us. The expansion of All Out, so a lot of good stuff happened this year. But overall, for me, the big achievement of Ghost this year wasn't really innovation driven. It was like scale driven and making sure we're able to scale in a sustainable way, in a safe way, in a way that's going to continue to put us in position to win in the future.
Third one, like,
Yeah.
Year 2020 is a similar year where we obviously Ghost did greens, we unveiled energy together, gamer, like there was a lot of innovation, but when the end of the year came around, you and I were talking about how you guys restructured the company. Like the things that you were excited about and proud of were in
because it set up that 21.
Yeah.
Right. And look, Shaw said that 2020, in his opinion, for Ghost was the best year of any sports nutrition brand in like history, which that's a massive claim that I would never, say is true or not. But like we did a lot of work to set up the future, and I think this year was a lot of work to make sure that we can kind of execute on the stage that we find ourselves on. Right. So next year, though, one thing I'm most excited about is kind of a return to focus on powder innovation. We have a very aggressive with powder innovation. We have a lot of new SKUs coming. I think we're going to expand the All Out brand to some other categories. I think there's some products that we've been talking about for a long time that are probably going to finally come out. One of them being like a Ghost Sleep, right? I think like, even with Legend and Legend V3 and the global, kind of takeover this year with it, it went so well in some markets that it's almost funny because we almost defeated our own purpose. Where now like Legend V3 has grown like, a few multiples times in like Australia, New Zealand. We almost need to start manufacturing down there. So we're starting that process now. And if I start manufacturing Legend in Australia and New Zealand, guess what that means? Like the global compliance thing in the US almost goes away. So I don't know, is next year going to have Legend V4 where you say, hey, this is for the US because now I don't need global compliance because now that move to V3 helped us scale abroad. Now I'm going to manufacture abroad and kind of go back to this geographical kind of localized approach. It's an interesting thing. I don't know if I saw that coming, but it's a really cool win, really cool pivot, right? On the beverage side, Ghost Hydration RTDs, we've really excited for that. I think we're trying to attack that category the same way we did energy, which is with a little more efficacy and authentic flavors. So that's going to be hitting, shelves nationally at GNC, Vitamin Shop, and a lot of the big boys like Kroger, 7-Eleven, Circle K. So that's going to be launching really big in January as resets progress next year. So that's going to be huge, and I'm very confident that next year is finally going to be the year you see our first food item. So,
okay,
a lot going on.
Cool,
A lot going on.
All right. We'll want to talk about that later. I'm sure you don't want to talk about that too much with foods.
Look, Ghost is turning 8. Okay? There's a lot of brands that are turning 8 days old and already have foods out. So what the heck has Ghost been doing for 8 years if we don't even have a freaking protein bar? But look, as I've joked over the years, like if we were going to do something, it needs to be special. I don't want to go to, the bakery, whatevers of the world. I'm not trying to pick on those guys specifically, just in general. I don't want to go to this like white label manufacturer, get the same bar that everybody else is making. Because look, you see this herd mindset in functional foods for the last few years. Quest bar gets hot, everybody wants to make a Quest bar, right? Outright bar gets hot, everybody starts making outright bar, right? A brownie gets hot, right? Ike with the brownie, everybody's got a freaking brownie. Rice Krispies, everyone's got. So like I'm gonna stay out of that fray. But go kick each other's butts down there in the mosh pit of functional foods. We're going to take our time, and if we come out with something just like energy, where we took our time and tried to innovate every facet of it, even stuff that people aren't really thinking about, I think that's what we're doing. So cool. Ultimately, I'd love to have a bar out. We're going to try to make that bar as innovative as possible, not going the white label route. But I think there's some other foods that, a lot of other brands that people aren't really talking about yet that I'm really pumped for. And I can promise you that I think people would expect this from us now too. The way we're going about it, how we do it, is going to be totally different than I think you've seen really before.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
Innovation. Like innovate what it means to be innovative.
I was interested whether or not you were actually going to commit to like a bar style, because like foods are cool. When you say food, I think food. I don't think of bars. I think of.
I'm using that as like an umbrella term.
Yeah.
I think we might call it Ghost Eats. I don't know.
Interesting.
Like just as an umbrella catch-all. Yeah. But like a bar should be part of that portfolio. Yeah. That might not be the first thing out though.
Cool.
Right. So.
Interesting. Okay. You forgot you did TMNT V2 this year, which is a big one. How many of those kinds of collabs are you guys going to be redoing? As like, there's a few that you do every single year. Do you feel like that's going to keep that cadence?
I don't know. It's all like anything in life, movies or whatever. You want to time it right? Mm-hmm. Like you don't want to go one sequel, too many, and then all of a sudden like you kind of cheapen the whole thing. So I'm not sure. Like we're talking about if we want to do TMNT V3 next year, maybe we take a quiet year. Like I don't know. I think generally collabs right now. Like look, collabs have become a little bit oversaturated. Mm-hmm. They become a dime a dozen. So execution really becomes the name of the game, I think. And not just the execution, but I think the most important thing, which you've heard me talk about before, is the why. If you're doing a collab, if you're a brand owner out there doing a collab, why are you doing it? Just because you think that's the trend and, I got to grab a piece of the pie. I'm going to slap this third-party logo on my product, adding a lot of complexity and dollars to my life to just go get a piece of the pie. That's a silly reason. You can do better. All of us can do better, right? This year, the reason we launched Cinnabon is because, number one, it allowed us to make a vegan licensed protein SKU. Number two, they'll let us use Cinnabon globally, where right now the other protein like licenses we have are only in North America, right? And then number three, authenticity, we're able to use the Macara cinnamon, the official Cinnabon cinnamon in the product too. Without those three things, like we wouldn't do it, right? And we say no to collabs now all the time. So we're working on some ideas, but I think from Ghost you're going to see like less collabs, and more Ghost flavors, more innovative things. And we're like, I don't know. I mean, one of the coolest collabs we did this year, in my opinion, was sour strips.
Yeah,
that's homegrown. Yeah, it's technically a collab. We'll say it's a collab, but that's our buddy Max Schuning, who's a pre-day one Ghost family member, started his own candy company. It's kicked serious ass, broken every rule along the way of doing it. So for that to get to a place where, you know what, it makes sense to do a Ghost collab, people were demanding it, people were excited for it. Like, man, I was really excited for him. I was really pumped that we were able to do that together. So,
okay,
more of those doors.
It's been building up to that Max collab for a while, right? Like all of the collabs that he's done, everyone every year was like, is it going to be sour strips? Is it going to be sour strips?
Man.
I like that you guys waited long enough. I thought like that was like a good storyline. Do you see yourself doing sour strips again, though?
I don't know. People might riot, if we don't.
Yeah.
Well, I will leak one thing though. Next year from an energy perspective, FaZe Pop this year was one of the top performing energy SKUs at 7-Eleven. It was 7-Eleven exclusive in GNC. So we're expanding FaZe Pop beyond 7-Eleven. And national launch, we're bringing back Strawbango. It's not going to be with Max's beautiful face on it. I think we did leave a little dude Easter egg on there, but Strawbango is coming back big nationally. And I think part of how we're looking at all that and making Maxi Poo, kind of part of the story and whole on it is like potentially a further expansion of sour strips too. And so a lot of ideas, no shortage of them here, but like I've always said, man, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So,
hey, dude, drop culture is funny and it's very interesting because people will make up things in their minds. Like you guys did not say that Strawbango was going to be coming back. You gave away in my opinion, the bigger collab. You're like, it's sour strips. And the morning of the post, still weeks and weeks and weeks, people were like, I think Strawbango is going to drop with it. I think it's just going to be a surprise drop with it. People loved that. People have been asking for sour strips for so long, but they love Strawbango so much that they wanted to see it back.
Dude, those types of debates are all any brand owner could ever ask for.
Right.
People love the flavors so much that they are fighting over which one should come back. They want them both to come back. Which one's their favorite? It's so humbling. We're so appreciative of it. We take none of this for granted.
Mm-hmm.
We just hope that we can continue to hit home runs in that way.
That's awesome.
So
that's really cool.
Speaking of home runs, Ryan said I'm not allowed to show you the label. So I'm going to do this under the table, all sketchy like, and you're just going to have to trust me that I'm not putting anything nefarious into this drink. But this is a sneak peek of Ghost Hydration. And look, favorite flavor, I've gotten sprayed all over the channel for saying this before, right? Swedish fish salt, my favorite flavor of Ghost Legend. And that will be coming back to Legend next year. But this is my personal weapon of choice, I think, out of the first 5 hydration flavors that we're launching. Kiwi Strawberry, which obviously has legs and roots, and Ghost Hydration the powder. So this is my personal pick. What do you think?
What? That's my favorite version of that flavor that you've done. That's better than the other ones.
Sweet. Appreciate it.
That's really good. I don't want to give anything away with specifics, but that's really, really good. And it's exactly, it tastes like a hydration drink.
Yeah.
Right? If you know electrolytes. You did a really good job with
that's lean into it.
Yeah, exactly.
A hydration drink that has a proper amount of electrolytes in it, it's going to have a higher viscosity than just water, right? Or mineral salt. So we want to lean into it. And can you build a flavor system around almost highlighting that mouthfeel? Mm-hmm. So the word that I would use to describe this Kiwi Strawberry is jandy. It's almost got a jandy kind of vibe to it.
Yeah,
right?
I understand.
So it's almost it tastes a little bit and this is completely hypothesis, but let's just say hypothetically you got really high and had leftover jam packets from Chick-fil-A, hypothetically you just squirted them in your mouth a little bit. Hypothetically, it would kind of be like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you add Pedialyte, you definitely know what high electrolyte tastes like.
Yeah.
You guys did a great job of using and leading into it. So I know Ryan said you can't show the label, but
if you I know that the beverage category is hot. I know that hydration is going to be hot. I'm sure there's going to be other brands entering the space. If they have a dietary supplement label on that product, there's a lot more flexibility as far as what they can put in there from a dosage perspective, and it all has to do with GRAS, like what's been certified, like from a safety perspective. Okay, this is really boring and technical, I know. But like, look, like one thing, and this is crazy to me personally, is like taurine, ingredient I love, ingredient I take a ton of, especially before I play hockey, which is why there's a lot of it in Ghost Hydration, the powder. We didn't use it in the RTD because taurine's like GRAS amount in a conventional beverage, so having a nutrition panel on it, it was something really low, like a couple 100 milligrams. I'm like, I don't want to explain why it's so underdosed by our standards, so I was like, no, we're just not using it, right?
Did you guys consider using a supplement backs panel for it? Like, what was the reasoning for the?
I think from a retailer perspective, and I think like from an aisle perspective, for it to go big and broad, I don't think that's an option.
Interesting.
So as far as the reasons why, I actually don't really know, but some of these are just kind of the rules of the market.
It's also just impressive that like that you think people look at the back of the box. You know, like I would almost put that on the back of the bottle because I don't think that consumers even look or care.
But you know my strong belief here, right? Formulate for the 1%, build the brand, the market, message for the 99.
Yeah.
And I know like that 99% of people do not care if there's 300 milligrams of taurine in there or, 2 grams or somewhere, or I'd probably like to see it. They probably don't care. They probably don't even know what taurine is. But I feel responsible as a brand owner, specifically as like Ghost, to know like, look, like for the 99% of people who are buying this product, they are trusting me to give them something that's good.
It's fair.
Right? Something that's been thought out.
Yeah.
And so whether agree or disagree, something that's been thought out and has a why, right? I feel like being deliberate is really important in life. Like when I was a flight instructor, I used to tell my students, hey, if you want to fly the airplane upside down, I'm cool with it. But if we're upside down, you don't intend to be upside down, you got a fucking problem, right? And I think that's true of anything in life. It's definitely true of this. Like we want there to be a purpose and like a concept behind what we do. So yeah, so we created the best product we could within the confines of a conventional beverage label. A brand that, humbly and proudly has grown to our size and scale. We, need to make sure we follow the rules down to the nth degree. And look, some of the big, even licensed partners they work, I can look at their packaging of a food item and find like four errors, right? And error is a strong word, but it's just 4 ways that they're maybe kind of bending the rules. Like we are doing everything. We're not perfect. No one's perfect, but we are doing everything we can and have surrounded ourselves with great consultants, and lawyers, and a proud member of the NPA, all that, to ensure that we're doing everything right and leading by example because, look, we know everyone's watching. So this one we formulated to the nines within the confines of conventional beverage. We have some really cool functional ingredient features in there as well. We're using one of my personal favorites, Synactive, in the product too. So I'm pumped for it to come out. I think it's a step forward, right? And look, if someone's going to come out with a dietary supplement, ready to drink that's formulated to a full supplement, and good for them too. I think this one is trying to toe that line, and it's also going to be broadly distributed. So, and look, for people who really want the efficacy, anyways, Ghost Hydration, the powder, like in my opinion, is one of the best in the market, and a lot of other brands and products have like now followed suit with similar formulas too.
You're weighting convenience here heavily. Like if you actually really cared about all those things, you should have gone the powder. I was telling Derek this morning at breakfast when I was talking about kind of the history of Ghost. When we really kind of first started partnering with you, we got a lot of flack over quote unquote underdose products. And when Legend V2 came out, I was like, go buy this product and tell me it's not like the most cost effective pre-workout. You get enough out of everything. Sure, it's not 500 milligrams of caffeine or whatever. But you're gonna have a good experience. It's gonna improve your workout no matter what, consistently. You could take this every single day. And that's what I feel about like especially with RTDs.
Yeah,
this is gonna hydrate you better, and that's the entire goal.
We live in a more is more society, especially in America. And I don't believe in that. I actually want to put less stuff in my body and get maximum results out of it. And until you can tell me that 15 grams of citrulline is going to work better than the 4 or 6 that I'm taking right now, I don't want the 15. And the fact that we have kind of almost incentivized this culture, especially within sports nutrition, of like, I got 15, it's like everything's an arms race. I'm like, dude, I just view it differently. I want to put the least amount of ingredients in my body to get the maximum results and ultimately have the best, training session or whatever I'm supplementing for,
right,
to ultimately live my best life, right? So the more thing has never really been our game, and but we, do our absolute damnedest to stay on top of all the latest research, have great relationships with the R&D teams and the brand ingredient vendors. Obviously, this is supply side week, so that's a lot of what this week is about, talking about latest and greatest research, new ingredients coming out and all that. We always want to be at the forefront of that. So I think we have a history now, a demonstrated history of listening to feedback and leveraging all this new information to V2, V3, V4, V5. Like we're not too proud to say, hey, we made improvements, right?
Gamer with V1.
Yeah.
Early on, I sent you guys a little bit of feedback. I actually didn't even expect you to care.
Energy 2 on the B vitamins.
Yeah, and you guys took the advice, and that's one of the one thing I share that to people. I'm like, Ghost. People are like, you never say anything bad about Ghost, which is untrue. Like when I did share feedback, it was listened to and it was changed.
Look, we taught store all the time. Day one we launched, we were 75% like disclosed in our label, and we thought having like a rules of brand 75% transparent was a massive step forward for the industry, and it was. But for whatever reason, maybe because of how accessible we were personally on at the time, Snapchat and social media, whatever, like people said, hey, why aren't you fully transparent? And we said, you know what, you're right. And on the very next run, hey guys, on the very next run, we're going to go fully transparent, never look back. I'm actually happy that whole thing happened because it lets us tell that story of like we listened. Yeah. What other brand does that? Again, like we're not too proud. We don't think we're better. Like we think we listen, and we also think we enjoy the shit out of this more than anyone. That one I will say, we probably enjoy this more, and hopefully you saw it when we were on this weekend. Like we enjoy what we do more than I think most people. So this is orange. Cool. By the way, we use natural colors in these too.
These are going to be colored because they're in clear bottles, I'm assuming.
I think categorically, like this doesn't need to have colors in it, and it's a can. We do use colors, but they are naturally colored. I will say this: there is an SBK blue coming. We're struggling to do the blue naturally because that's just a hard color to do. I actually don't know what we're doing there yet. We might go no. I don't know what we're doing, but like, look again, we're seeing the feedback. Like I have no problem with artificial colors. If I go down because of artificial colors, I did not live hard enough. Okay, same thing with sucralose. I mean, I do not have a problem with sucralose. And people saying the research actually, one of the studies showed a improvement in like kind of, the microbiome. But regardless, we're using natural colors in these. The SBK blue, I don't know if we're going to get there naturally. We'll find out. But for the rest of them, they are natural. So this is an orange. Cool.
Probably really orange.
We try to go juice, man.
Yeah.
Like fresh squeezed.
That's really straight up. There's no other citrus, or it's straight up orange juice.
Yeah.
But it's lighter than like an orange juice. Like I wouldn't want to drink orange juice while I'm working out or like doing like a sport or something. Like this is like drinkable and like viscosity. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. What I've been doing is like drinking like about half a bottle, throwing like size unflavored in it.
Oh, cool.
Filling it back up with water and drinking it intro.
I was gonna say if you watered these down, they'd be great. So, again, still. Yeah. If you had gone fully transparent, you and I might not have become friends too.
Yeah.
It's that whole thing with the video, the non-proprietary protein blends.
Oh, well, I think that was always one thing we would really wanted to do. That whole because protein is interesting. That's like less about a proprietary blend and more of just like just teaching people about the different grades of protein, right? Which is funny. Like in our industry, people don't understand that, but people totally get it when you go to the store and buy 93 7-ground beef. Like it's the same type of thing that we're talking about here. But and look, I don't know, knowledge is power. Yeah. And we always try to be a brand to be transparent and educate. And then look, we really challenge all of our partners, like on the brand ingredient front, to make sure that their information that they put out is, accurate, easily accessible, and easy to digest for the consumer. Because look, I don't need to go out there and talk all about some of these ingredients. Like they should be doing that, but by using it in the right amount on a label in a transparent dose, people can go and if they care, right? As we said, the 99% probably don't, but the 1% who do, the information's all out there.
Yeah. We talk a lot. I mean, like, obviously, you and I talked a lot about how our demographic and like PricePlow's consumer typically is like a really, really engaged consumer. And I've been trying to dial that scope back a lot. Trying to make content that, like my mom could at least appreciate when she goes to buy her next fish oil. It's difficult, but I do think overall, the group of people who pay attention to what they're putting in their bodies is steadily growing every year.
Yeah. Yeah, hope so. I think we all, it should be a growing a better mindset. I know it's not sometimes, but it should be a growing a better mindset for everybody out there. And as more information comes out, as more information stays out there and kind of is more in the public domain or the common kind of domain, we'll say, like it's cool to see where all that goes. Again, if you can level up, starting with yourself or your brand, your company, and then your community, your industry maybe, if you can like level the whole thing up, everybody wins.
For sure. All right, end up here. What's your like favorite thing you did this year? outside of scaling Ghost Energy? If it was like a good event or something we did this year that was the highlight.
I mean, you're asking me that 2 days after, like when we were young, I'm still like, high on the side stage raging with Simple Plan right now. So, like when we were young was always one of my most favorite ones. And part of it, again, has to do with what I showed you, which if you're going to throw it up in here it is, bang. I sent this guy my high school yearbook photo because I said that my favorite song, I went with two. I broke the rules. I went with two.
You did.
Songs. Yeah, Key Without the E by Taking Back Sunday.
Were they at last year's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Third Engine from Saves the Day. And, to have Saves the Day 19 years later, to date myself for everyone playing at home, okay, playing on the Go stage at when we were young, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Right? Like, it was tough to, like, not get, like, choked up a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And like I said, I never even had the balls to dream it that big. And it's just so cool. And the lesson, again, is, like, brick by brick, focus on the things that really move the needle and make the most impact, right? Speaking to, like, brand owners out there, right? Your people, number one, your products, number two, and your partners, number three. You do that and just, like, keep trucking forward and do your best to get better every day. You stop, and I suck at this part, but you stop, you kind of look in the rear view, and you're like, holy crap, like, look what we accomplished. And a moment like that kind of puts all that into full context. So, like, look, I see the couple 100,000 people there, like, raging, enjoying it, and, like, it didn't feel like a corporate sponsorship. Like you said, everyone's hanging out and just be part of, I don't know, man, it's the most special, humbling, kind of coolest thing. And, like, look, if there was even one person there that found Ghost for the first time, who then ultimately goes and, buys one of our powders, protein powders, goes and finds PricePlow, goes and watches its podcast. I mean, that, like, loop too is maybe for me one of the coolest parts. The other secondary thing of Ghost Energy is all about just how it gets the brand and our industry out there, hopefully in a great way. So.
Well, you guys, like, are with Insomniac, obviously work with, like, EDC and Life is Beautiful and Big Stuff, and there's not, like, nothing against that stuff, but what was special about, like, the whole alternative emo community is, like, there's a lot of different sects of it. Like, there's the hardcore, there's the screamo, there's the the soft, the heavy, but, like, everyone that you meet in that kind of community, like, they have their own, like, part that they love and they related to. Like you had bands that I didn't really know, and I had bands that you didn't really know, but
I told you I'd go watch Michelle Branch. I would have gone,
dude. But it was like 4 Year Strong last year.
Yeah,
that was the one for me. Like, that was, like, I've seen them a million times when I was younger, but like you get to see people relive, like, very specific, like, moments of their lives, which is really special.
Music can make you remember everything or forget everything in it.
Yeah.
And the fact that we, like, look, it's been my concept. I mean, really, since the throwback Neon Sport days, right, of working with the DJs, because I was like, hey, like, what's the first thing people do when they go to the gym? Headphones, right? The tie between, like, our world and music is so, like, so obvious. Man, like, how can we really get out there in a meaningful way? Well, I think you kind of needed this to make the energy drinks to make it happen. But yeah, man, just the utmost gratitude and just so, again, like, thankful and grateful for where we are. So excited for where we're going. But yeah, it's tough to not call out that weekend as kind of one of the biggest of the year.
Wouldn't blame me.
For sure.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for being on here.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you.